Welcome to the Immigrantinlaw channel. Sometimes people relocate to another country and think, well, now everything will fall into place. Life will be calmer, safer, and more straightforward. I'll start a new life. But a few months go by, and a strange feeling sets in. There doesn't seem to be that much work. Household chores are the same as always. No one is forcing you to work 12 hours a day, but you have no energy. It's hard to get up in the morning. In the evening, you don't feel like talking to anyone. Even simple tasks, making a doctor's appointment, calling the bank, filling out a form, replying to a letter, start to seem overwhelming. And you ask yourself, what's wrong with me? Why am I so tired if I don't seem to be doing anything special? In reality, you're most likely just fine. Fatigue in immigration isn't always about physical exertion. Very often it's about constant internal tension that a person doesn't even notice. Today, we'll explore why you can feel tired in a new country even without much physical strain, where this state comes from, and what you can do about it. The first thing to understand is that relocation is not just a change of address, it's a shift in your entire frame of reference. Back home, many things happen automatically. You know where to buy medicine, how to make a doctor's appointment, how to talk to your child's teacher, what to say at the bank, where to go if you lose a document, and how to understand a notice on the door or a message from a government authority. You don't have to think about hundreds of little details because your brain already knows what to do. But in a new country, you have to learn almost everything from scratch. Even simple everyday situations require attention. How do you buy a ticket? How do you get insurance? What does this letter mean? Why can't you just walk in here without an appointment? How do you write an address correctly? What documents do you need? What happens if you make a mistake? And so it turns out that a person lives in a state of constant readiness. It's as if they're constantly focused internally. They mustn't miss anything, get anything mixed up, say too much, break a rule, or miss an opportunity. On the outside, it might look like an ordinary day, but inside, the brain is doing a tremendous amount of work. The second reason for fatigue is language. Even if you have a good command of the language of the country you've relocated to, communication still requires more energy at first. In our native language, we often grasp the meaning before the words are even finished. We pick up on intonations, jokes, hints, and subtext. We can listen, think, respond, and notice details all at the same time. In a foreign language, everything is different. You have to concentrate. You have to pick up on the accent. You have to find the right words quickly. You have to figure out if the tone is formal or friendly. You have to not only translate the phrase, but also understand what the person meant. It's especially hard when it comes to important topics: documents, healthcare, work, renting a place, or school for the kids. After a conversation like that, you might feel like you've just taken an exam. And that's no exaggeration. It really is a huge mental strain. So don't be surprised if, after a single call to customer service or a visit to an office, you just want to lie down and not see anyone. It's not a weakness. It's a normal reaction to intense mental work. The third reason is having too many decisions to make. In your everyday life, many decisions have already been made for you. You have your neighborhood, your go-to stores, your doctors, your friends, and your own ways of solving problems. After relocating, you have to choose everything all over again. Where should I live? Which neighborhood is safer? Which bank should I open an account with? Which school should I choose? Which service plan should I sign up for? Which specialist should I see? Who can I trust? Which documents should I submit now and which later? Every decision feels important because behind it lies the fear of making a mistake. You think, what if I choose the wrong thing? What if it's too late later on? What if I lose money? What if this affects my status? What if one mistake makes everything more complicated? And even if you physically did almost nothing all day, you might have made dozens of small decisions. And that's exhausting. There's a condition called decision fatigue. It's when your brain has to compare, analyze, doubt, and take responsibility too often. When you're living abroad, this can become a daily reality. The fourth reason is the loss of familiar support. Before relocating, people often don't realize how much strength their familiar surroundings provided. The native language all around, familiar streets, people you can call, an understanding of unwritten rules, the feeling that you belong. Even a favorite cafe, a familiar pharmacy, or a neighborhood you've walked through for years can be part of that inner stability. In a new country, that support is less. Even if the country is good, safe, and comfortable, it still feels foreign at first. A person might live in a beautiful city but feel like a temporary guest. They may smile at their neighbors but not know how to build a close connection. They may have a job, a place to live, and documents, and still feel lonely. This doesn't mean the relocation was a mistake. It means the mind needs time to build new foundations. But until those foundations are established, a person expends a lot of energy just to keep going. The fifth reason is emotional ambivalence. Emigration often involves a mix of feelings. On the one hand, there is hope, relief, curiosity, and new opportunities. On the other, there is sadness, anxiety, guilt, longing, irritation, and fear of the future. And these feelings can coexist. A person can look forward to a new life while missing the old one. They may be grateful for safety and yet angry that they have to start all over again. They may understand that relocating was the right decision and still grieve the loss. Sometimes people suppress these feelings. They say, I wanted this myself, so I have no right to complain. It's harder for others, so I can't let myself get tired. I have to be strong. I just need to pull myself together. But suppressed feelings don't just disappear. They stay inside and drain your energy. Fatigue in emigration often arises not because a person is lazy, but because they are constantly trying to be strong, calm, grateful, and productive all while hiding how hard it really is for them. The sixth reason is a shift in self-esteem. Back home, a person might have been a specialist, a manager, an entrepreneur, someone active and confident. They knew how their field worked, how to communicate, and how to achieve their goals. After relocating, that confidence may temporarily fade. Even an experienced professional may find themselves having to validate their degree, rewrite their resume for the local market, adjust their communication style, and re-explain their value during an interview. A person may find themselves in a situation where they are supposedly an adult, smart and experienced, yet they feel like a novice. This is very exhausting, because they have to not only deal with practical issues but also rebuild their sense of self. Who am I here? What can I count on? How am I perceived? Will I be able to get back to my level? What if I can't? These questions are rarely spoken aloud, but they can echo constantly inside. That is precisely why emigration fatigue often feels less like ordinary post-work fatigue and more like a deep inner exhaustion. The seventh reason is constant anxiety about the future. In a new country, so much depends on documents, deadlines, rules, status, work, income, rent, and insurance. Even when everything is going smoothly, a person may feel as though the ground beneath their feet isn't quite solid yet. You have to keep track of dates. You have to renew your documents. You need to understand the requirements. You need to make sure you don't miss a letter. You need to submit your application on time. You need to prove, confirm, explain, and attach documents. Even if you aren't thinking about it every minute, anxiety can run in the background. It's like an open tab in your browser that you can't see, but it's still draining your battery. And the more uncertainty there is, the faster a person gets tired. That's why it's very important not to downplay this state. The phrase "I didn't do anything" isn't always honest. Maybe you've been keeping dozens of important questions in your head all day, and that's work too. Now let's talk about what can help. First, recognize that adaptation takes energy. Don't expect yourself to move at the same pace as before. During the first few months, and sometimes even longer, you're in a state of adjustment. Your brain is learning a new system, new rules, a new language, and new social cues. What used to take 10 minutes might now take an hour. What used to be resolved with a single phone call now requires 3 emails, document translations, and consultations. This is normal. Don't beat yourself up for being tired. Instead, tell yourself, I haven't broken down. I'm adapting. Second, reduce the number of decisions wherever possible. Create simple, repetitive habits. 1 store for basic groceries. 1 day of the week for paperwork. 1 list of important contacts. 1 folder for all documents. 1 clear procedure for regular tasks. The more predictability there is in life, the less energy is wasted on chaos. Third, don't try to understand everything at once. When you're an expat, you often want to figure everything out quickly. Laws, taxes, healthcare, work, education, accommodation. But you can't do that in a single week. Break down the adaptation process into stages. First, basic security, accommodation, documents, money, communication, health. Then, work, language, surroundings. Then, long-term plans, personal growth, integration, new goals. When you stop demanding instant, complete adaptation from yourself, it becomes easier to breathe. Fourth, seek support. Support doesn't necessarily mean long conversations about your feelings. Sometimes it's just someone you can message. Can you tell me how to make a doctor's appointment here? How did you handle that? Please check if I understood this letter correctly. It's very important to have people around who understand the context of moving abroad, because it's easier to cope with emigration fatigue when you see that you're not alone. Many people go through similar stages. Fifth, Consult specialists when the issue involves documents and status. Searching for information on your own can be helpful, but it often increases anxiety, especially if sources contradict each other. And on forums, some people scare others. When it comes to immigration issues, it's better to get a clear explanation from professionals. This reduces uncertainty and helps you see your path more clearly. What's already been done, what steps lie ahead, what deadlines are important, and what documents are needed. Sometimes even a single consultation relieves a great deal of internal tension, because clarity replaces the fog. And here's another important point. Don't compare your adaptation to that of others. Some people find jobs faster. Some pick up the language more quickly. Some make friends more easily. Some people look calm on the outside, but are going through the same struggles on the inside. Everyone has their own starting point, their own circumstances, their own personality, their own family, their own resources, and their own experience with relocation. Your pace isn't a measure of your worth. If you're struggling, it doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're going through a difficult process. Immigration isn't just about paperwork, the country, and a job. It's also about reshaping your personality, habits, relationships, self-confidence, and sense of home. And feeling tired along the way is natural. If you're currently living abroad and feel tired, even though it seems like nothing much is happening, try to be kinder to yourself. You don't have to be productive every minute. You don't have to understand everything right away. You don't have to prove that relocating was easy for you. You have the right to feel tired, the right to feel homesick, the right to ask for help, and the right to take things slowly. The main thing is not to be left alone with the chaos and anxiety. If you are planning to relocate to Europe and want to understand which country and which legalization route is right for you, submit a request for a free consultation with Immigrantinlaw's lawyers. We'll develop the optimal relocation strategy for you, prepare all the necessary documents, explain the nuances of the law in detail, and answer all your questions. We'll analyze your case, your goals, and your situation without using templates. Want to learn more or start the process today? Contact us. All contact details are listed in the description below this video. We're here to help you take a confident step toward a new life. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ask your questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Discover a world of opportunities with Immigrantinlaw.